We're on a discovery tour here. It is a book review. I'm putting my 2 cents worth, and I know, and I see that from the response of some of this that it has a very, very big impact. A lot of people don't like what this man is saying. If you think about it, who's afraid of the big bad Jew is a very bold statement. This man lives in Israel. And I think that one of the things that we have in the United States so far, they're getting rid of it in England now and all the Western countries, is the right to speak your mind. To write a book like Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Jew? But this man lives in Israel. He's not afraid. And I think we have to realize that while we hold the, let's say, our country holds the Catholic Church in high esteem, is a teacher of morality. If you're Jewish, then you really know what they did to us. And we're still alive. And so all of the rights that they said that we stole from them or they took from them, they want to make sure that we don't have them, all of those rights. The bloodshed that it led to. But we are still here. So here we go, Rabbi Raphael. Sure. See if we can get down a little closer. He says that this chapter, what we're going to get into, chapter 9, is regards to the clarity and connection in the face of Jewish hatred. Now, so here we see that there are plenty of anti-Semites out there. Plenty of the people who feel that we are not entitled to be around at all, that we stole all of the good things of the world, and as a result of that, we have to be destroyed so that they can get them back. Now it comes in here and it says like this, but Ruth replied, do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Moses said to his father-in-law, we're setting out for the plain of which God has said, I will give it to you. Come with us. In this final chapter of our journey, let's shift our focus to taking deliberate action. Now, this is a man who lives in Israel where they are fighting a war of existence and winning. However, the war is not over. We can learn to not only endure but thrive amidst the challenges of prejudice and discrimination. Let me again quote the poet Leonard Cohen as he expresses in his song Anthem, the idea that we can navigate through and even grow from turbulence and pain. Now, from a Kabbalistic point of view, I'm going to read what he says. But if we feel that there's ein od milvado, and that everything that is happening around it is coming from only one place, that is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, this can lead you to a path of growth. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We can all act and let more light in, and when we do, we will shine. As this book has shown, anti-Semitism is a moral and spiritual phenomenon. Therefore, in addition to the imperatives of protecting ourselves so we can stay alive when faced with terrorists and acting to defeat our enemies physically, we must also provide a moral and spiritual response. Now remember, here you're beginning to see the boldness of the Israelis. As someone who lives in Israel and feels the protection of the Jewish people, that in fact we can and do protect ourselves from the hate. That's a big difference between Europe. A lot of people say, gun control, keep the guns, stop making so many guns. We have a Second Amendment in the United States. What happened in Europe? How did they round up all those Jews? They were the ones with the guns. That's what happens. When the government is the only one with the guns, it means that the wrong government or a tyrannical government can do whatever they want and nobody can stop them. Now, it's not that we could really stop the power of the United States Army, but on the other hand, we're war armed. So we can at least immediately protect ourselves. The horrific acts and explosion of Jew hatred around the world has revealed an enduring desire to annihilate Jews. This is not something that will go away by ignoring it. We need to understand this and respond accordingly. We must choose to not revert to the mindset of October 6th, the day before, but instead embrace the positive potential of our new reality. If so many hate me for being Jewish, I will respond by proudly embracing my Jewish identity. If there is meaning in the hatred, as we have shown, I will find meaning in embracing my Jewishness. And for non-Jews, in the face of moral confusion and indifference, I will stand up against prejudice and Jew hatred. I will speak truth to power. Now, this man is saying something very strong. And as a result of that, I think it's so important to buy this book, send this book out. I know we have a lot of people didn't like everything. I don't know if it's what he says or what I say. I have my own biases, so I don't deny them. There is a Torah idea alluded to in the name of one of Rabbi Sachs's books. Every Jew is, in fact, a letter in the Torah scroll. The meaning, he says, is that each of us has a role to play, a unique difference to make. Judaism is not a theory, a system, a set of speculative propositions, and an ism. It is a call, and it bears our name. That is the essence of this book's takeaway. You can discover your place, your passion, and where your talents and interests align with your unique mission in this world. Finding your particular place, your yud in Hebrew, that it's called in Torah thought, can take time. In fact, it's a lifelong process and requires great patience. The idea can seem daunting, and admittedly, this book may have inadvertently set a very high bar. So let's bring it down to earth by providing some real examples of individuals, most of whom I know personally, who have responded to hate with inspirational positivity and a deep connection to the Jewish people. These role models can help us get a better idea of what owning being Jewish looks like. Owning being Jewish, he says. You have to be brave. You have to love tremendously. First, an important definition. This book is about what it means to be Jewish. Even the contents of what I've written can mean many things. So let me clarify what I am trying to say. He quotes the Medrash. He says, the Medrash says the Jews were redeemed from Egyptian slavery on the merit that they did not change their Jewish names, their unique clothing, or their language. The situation being described by this statement is clear at that point. They were not very religious. In fact, we know that they were quite assimilated and, like the Egyptians, probably looked a lot like the Egyptians, even worshipped idols. But the meaning is that these Jews had a very strong Jewish self-identity anyway. It was their main identity, and it was expressed for all to see, even if they didn't do it all. So let me be clear, embracing your Jewish identity is very broad. It can mean learning Torah and also becoming more religiously observant. It can mean standing up for Israel or making aliyah, moving to the homeland. It can mean community involvement, philanthropy, and of course being a more giving person and helping those in need. This list can go on and on, of course. But my point is that there are different ways to express yourself as a Jew. At the same time, being Jewish has real meaning and definitions. Judaism is not only about social activism or fitting it into a box according to current cultural trends or your whims. While social justice is indeed a fundamental part of our identity and philosophy, Judaism encompasses much more. The key is to keep growing, learn more, gain wisdom for the Torah, and understand what is truly valuable in life. Listen to your soul and identify your internal intent, which is called kavanah, the direction of your life, as it calls in Judaism. Ask yourself which direction you are headed and whether you are deepening your connection. Now, what do Jewish moral and spiritual responses look like? Now, here he's going to bring examples, and let's see what he has to say. First, he says compassion for family. Let's accept completely that we are one people, one family with one heart. On October 7, this feeling was palpable to Israelis and the Jews around the world, the hostages, the victims of barbaric torture, rape, and murder, the soldiers who fought and those that gave their lives, the families of those murdered, the evacuees, the students on hostile campuses. We were united. We can try to feel the pain, have compassion, and act with commitment to family. Respect others. Avoid divisive and damaging speech. And support one another. Because we are in this together consciousness. Even if we disagree on strategy, approaches, or worldviews. Now he writes this piece, he says, connecting to our national purpose. He says Hamas, our cousins, they're actually not cousins, they're half-brothers. Hamas united us, but it should not be our enemies that keep us together, nor is unity by force sufficient for our fulfillment as a people. The merging cracks in our unity, especially in Israel, threaten to return us to October 6th. We need to strengthen our national unity by deepening our understanding of and commitment to our shared values, destiny, and purpose. Judaism is a religion in some ways, but is much more than that. We have a national mission to be a light to the nations. I have summoned you, and I have grasped you by the hand. I created you and appointed you a covenant people, a light of nations. As this book has laid out, this is not about elitism, it is a responsibility. Learning Torah, one effective way to connect, is to find out more about what it all means. Read about Jewish history. Study the Arab-Israeli conflict. And most important, begin to learn the Torah. The beginning Torah could be found in Sansino, different books that are published that are what you call kosher. Have a lot of really good English commentary. And start learning the 5 books of Moses. Just start reading what it says. It'll take you back to a different time, a different era to understand that the Weltanschauung of the year 2025. Just reverse it. 2025 years before the Common Era. Abraham was born in the year 1948 before the Common Era. There's a lot of water under the bridge. The source of it all is the Torah. To illustrate why learning is so critical, here's a story I heard from one of my rabbis, Shalom Schwartz. Shalom. When I was a young rabbi in Toronto, Canada, I was sitting with a group of young Jews with whom I played a weekly pickup hockey game. One turned to me and said, I want you to know that I am very proud to be a Jew. Really, Mike? Tell me more. What are you proud of? He answered, I grew up in a small town in eastern Canada, and every day I had to fight my way to school because, I was a Jew. Wow, that must have been difficult to respond to, but tell me, what is it that you are proud of as being a Jew? He answered, every day I had to fight my way to school because I was a Jew. I'm proud to be a Jew. I appreciate it must have been very challenging. What exactly are you proud of in being a Jew? And he keeps asking the same question. He answered, every day I had to fight. Now he says, after a few rounds like that, Shalom realized that it was not going to get any deeper, and that's okay, because Mike felt deeply connected, but ideally, people should invest their Jewish identity with meaning and the richness that it offers by deepening their understanding. You have to come nearer to the Torah. And for that, the best place to connect is the Torah. Anti-Semites want to erase the Jews because of what we represent, so let's strengthen and affirm our understanding of our core values so that we can live them fully. Israel. The Torah asserts that for the Jews to fully complete their mission of being a light, we need to have our own independent, sovereign nation. Only a nation can effectively demonstrate the reality of a society that embodies the Torah's core values and applies them in every dimension of its functioning. The Jewish vision, and we are aware that as of now we are still far from this, is creating a society with a dynamic energy born of unity with respect for diversity amongst different sectors, commitment to individual freedom, responsibility to man and God, while balancing compassion and justice. For 2,000 years we held on to this vision and believed that somehow, someday, we would be back in our land and could try to fulfill it. Today, with an ingathering of Jewish exiles from the four corners of the world well in progress, and when you go to Israel, it's amazing who we are. Actually, I thought I knew all along who the Jews were. Now, once I got involved in Torah Judaism, I realized that there were other ethnic groups that were not mine. So that was something to work on. Then you find out there's something called Sephardim. It's a completely different mentality. And then there are African Jews, all mixed together in Israel, all eating together, all working to strive to survive. Today, with an ingathering of Jewish exiles from the four corners of the world, well in progress, he says, the opportunities in front of us, a commitment to help and build Israel, or even to make Aliyah is an incredible Jewish response. I hope this has helped you create a clearer picture of what owning it looks like in theory. What owning it looks like in theory. Now I will share some real and inspirational stories of it being lived in practice. Those stories of Jewish moral and spiritual responses, he's going to come up with some different stories. The following accounts of moral and spiritual responses told by people who experienced anti-Jewish hate, including from the events of October 7th, and responded by facing it head-on, can help inspire us and strengthen our moral self-confidence so we can turn the label of the big bad Jew into a badge of honor. When you come up with your own unique response, you can not only defend against external negativity, you can actively shape yourself and your world into a more beautiful place. Now here's a story about a man named Bucky. I don't know what Bucky means. On October 7th, I was praying at the morning Simchat Torah celebrations. Actually, October 7th was a very high Jewish holy day. But to show that Israel is a very secular country, it's actually a holiday for people who are not observant. That's where the massacres took place. With me were three siblings who grew up with my kids and who lived just down the street from us. At the time, they did not know that their brother David was attending the Nova Festival. He was killed that day. But before his fate was determined, along with 360 other young partygoers, David's friends, Gidon and Bucky, were alerted to his danger when they received a text message from him. One said, "Pray for me," and then another, "Something terrible has happened." Determined to save him, Gidon and Bucky, along with David's cousin Ezra, combat medic, set off towards the south. They stopped only to pick up a gun and bulletproof vests from a friend. The area had become a war zone, and they never made it to the party grounds in time to help David. Instead, they joined medics at a field hospital in the area of Sderot, spending the day treating wounded people who had come from the festival. We didn't really understand that there was a war breaking out, as only told of the times of Israel. We thought it was just a terrorist attack at the party. Despite their devastation, they responded with action. That Sunday night, October 8th, only 8 hours after returning from the south, Bucky created a WhatsApp group called Let's Do Something and added some of David's closest friends. Within 24 hours, they had a plane full of aid on the way to Israel. That night, they founded their organization, Let's Do Something. Within a week, they had raised $500,000 and brought several plane loads of aid. In less than 6 months, they brought over $25 million in equipment, including search and rescue gear and several ambulances. As the conflict developed, so did their organization. They now work with the IDF to create sport programs for soldiers, collaborate with communities across Israel to get aid to those affected by October 7th, and use their story to inspire pro-Israel engagement with videos already garnering over 30 million views. Now here's another name, Sapir. Sapir was kidnapped from Kibbutz Nira Oz on October 7th and was held in Hamas captivity for 55 days. As of this writing, her boyfriend Sasha is still captive. All of his family was either killed or being held. Sapir was not religious, but said that during her captivity she felt God's presence and angels protecting her. She believed that she was there for a reason, to use her abilities to take care of other female captives who needed her support. Trusting it, God gave her meaning and strength. During her captivity, Sapira's mother organized daily Torah classes. I'm sorry, I'm an old sentimental man. So he says, Sapira's mother organized daily Torah classes for women in her home, dedicating 3 hours each day. Her mother remained positive, encouraging everyone to send positive energy to Sapir to give her strength. When Sapir was released, she was smiling. People asked her how she could smile after enduring such horrible conditions, and she replied, "Even in the worst of times, you can choose to be happy." And that's what I did. Upon learning how many people prayed for her and took action, they took action to become better people. In her marriage, she understood where the protecting angels came from. Sapir shared that when the terrorists first broke through her door, her first thought was, "God, I will start to keep Sabbath." Although she was not observant and doesn't know why that came to her, she made the commitment and has kept it ever since. Now on Shabbat, I put everything on the side and I feel free and I feel peace in my body and my mind. This gives me a lot of energy to start the new week. Her time in captivity within Gaza also changed her in another way. She became less focused and more giving. All of her time is now focused on others, volunteering, speaking, and helping to give people power to others by encouraging people to also become givers. What does she want now? In one of the tunnels where I was held, one of the terrorists forced me to watch TV. The program was showing a rally in Tel Aviv in support of the hostages. The terrorist said to her, "Look, when the Jews are together like this, they are very, very strong." That's amazing. It's amazing that they know this. This is my hope, that one day all the Jewish people will be united and not like we were on October 7th. Sapir has traveled the world, speaking to groups about her experience because, as she says, I want the whole Jewish people to feel connected and feel that same feeling and feel the same feeling we felt on that day of October 7th. As Sapir suffered in captivity, the IDF began the job of destroying Hamas so that they could not repeat what they told Sapir was their plan, to do it again and again. So we have one more we're going to do in this year, and let's see, Ben, and we'll, in the coming days, and God willing, we'll do a little bit more. Ben was not raised religious in his native South Africa, but his bar mitzvah trip to Israel had a profound impact on him. Connecting deeply to the land and the people, he decided then and there that when he grew up, he would return and serve in the IDF to connect with his Jewish roots and help his people. At 22, as Hamas rockets rained down on Israel, Ben decided it was time to stand up and do his part. He moved to Israel knowing no one in his new land. This is what they call, I think, a lone soldier. And he signed up for the full 3 years of army service. He served in Gaza during the Hamas war as part of a team rescuing injured soldiers. But his most dramatic experience wasn't on the battlefield. While on leave, Ben posted some photos on Instagram. His account was hacked by anonymous pro-Palestinian groups who posted his photos and articles labeling him as a genocidal war criminal. He received death threats. Then his parents' company's Instagram account was linked and targeted. They faced threats, bad reviews, and calls for a boycott. After numerous threats to his parents and sisters, the family had to shut down all their social media. A few weeks later, a journalist asked Ben to comment, hoping to correct the record. He spoke, but the news site portrayed him as a villain when presenting the story. Major South African media picked up the story depicting him as a baby killer in the face of the evil IDF soldier. They targeted him for a prosecution. Police opened the file and planned on asking Israel to extradite him. The final blow came when the anti-Semitic South African government decided to prosecute any South African who served in the IDF. Ben was placed on the prosecution list, meaning he could never return to his hometown to visit his family, not now and maybe not ever. Despite everything, Ben had no regrets. About his move to Israel, absolutely not, he said. It was the best decision of my life. I am stronger now from experienced harsh Jew hatred. So I know what we are fighting for. And we need to fight harder. History repeats itself, like in Germany, and we can't stand by. Both learned the hard way that Jews are fighting battles on two fronts. One is in Gaza, and the other is in the media. So we're going to stop this share right now because I think that's about enough. Start getting the idea of who we can be. This is Baruch Fleischman, and you're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.